So in the last 7 days, we have generated $24,100 for one of our clients, and I'll refresh it to show you guys I'm not lying. Yeah, $24,100 for one of our clients in the last 7 days. And from the outside, everything looks great, right? But what I want to explain to you guys is that not everything that you guys see on social media is as great as it looks online, right? And that honestly, business is just hard, okay? I can easily get on here and show you guys us doing 25K in the last 7 days and talk about how great of a job I do and how great my team is and how happy my client is and everything like that. But that's just like, one piece of the puzzle, and it really wouldn't be me being real with you guys. What I want to explain to you guys is that problems don't just go away once you start making money. Okay. I know that sounds obvious, but that's definitely something that I used to believe whenever I first started. Because, if I didn't choose to tell you guys wouldn't know that I'm actually 5 days behind on payroll, right? Today's October 20th. My team should have been paid out 5 days ago, but this payment processor is holding like $35,000 from us, right? It would be easy for me to just, not talk about that and pretend like everything's fine. And it is going to be fine. They just need some documents sent over to them, but it's just annoying, right? I mean, payment processors are just fucking annoying. But when I first got into online business, I don't really know if I was just like naive, but I thought that once I got to like, 10K a month or whatever, everything would be perfect and everything would be a cakewalk. Every single problem in my life would be solved, right? But in reality, new problems come up, new stressors come up. And honestly, like, I also understand that they're good problems to have. You know what I mean? Having 35K being held in a processor, obviously it's super annoying, but at the end of the day, it is kind of a good problem because at least we made 35K, right? But yeah, if you're going to start making 10K a month, you're going to have 10K a month problems, right? But when I got into online business, I think I got into it because I was like, honestly, like I was very insecure at that point in my life. And I thought that making money would compensate for a lot of the things that I felt like I was lacking as a person. But I'm realizing that it doesn't really fix other problems that you may have going on in your life, like at all. So what I want to explain to you guys is that making money, especially the way that online business is portrayed, like on social media, just by doing online business, just by making money, it's not going to solve all of your problems, especially not non-money related problems, right? Like, I'm not saying you guys shouldn't do online business, or you shouldn't try to make money online, because I think it's still a great way for you to grow as a person. But if you're thinking about starting an online business, I think that I went through a lot of things that hopefully you can skip by listening to me in this video, and you can save yourself a lot of time and suffering, right? The way that people get into online business nowadays, if you were like me, is that you watch some kind of YouTube video online and you basically got sucked into this rabbit hole, right? Like for me, I watched like an Elon Gotzi video, or maybe like an Andrew Tate video or something like that, right? And then you keep going down the rabbit hole, you see all these kids making money online, et cetera, and then you want to get into it, right? And the way that all these people, a majority of them, are portraying online business is as this kind of super sexy lifestyle where you get to make a ton of money, you have infinite freedom, you get a ton of girls, you go partying all the time. And in reality, it's business. You know what I mean? Just because you do business online doesn't mean that it's some like magical cheat code. It's still business. You know what I mean? You're going to have times where things get really hard. You're going to have times where things feel uncertain, kind of like right now, 35K held in a processor. You're going to have times where you feel like you're not going to make it. You're going to have times where you finally get a win and then it gets taken right from under you, or you get a win and then nothing feels different, right? And I think for me, at least, it's because, like I said, when I first got into online business, I was like super insecure back then. So I liked the idea that a lot of online business, you know, YouTubers, I guess, will portray it, and like red pill videos will portray it. It's just like basically, either subtly or explicitly, they'll tell you that, the amount of money that you make is tied to your value or your worth, right? Because when I first started, like I said, I was super insecure. So I actually liked subscribing to that idea because I thought, okay, if I can start making money, then I will be valuable, right? Then I will have self-worth or whatever. And I don't want you guys to fall into this kind of like mindset trap, because it's just going to lead you into something way fucking worse than not making money. Okay. And I'll tell you right now, if you can't, get that girl before you have the money, just because you make it, you're still not going to be able to get her. You know what I mean? If you think that you're going to magically become happy when you start making money, you're super fucking wrong. And if you think that you're gonna magically have like a great friend group or something like that to hang out with every single weekend when you start making money, you're wrong. Okay. These are like just some things that I definitely thought whenever I first started, doing online business. I thought that these were things that would just fall into my lap once I just did $10,000 one month, right? If I could just do that, everything else would fall into place, right? But I'm really learning that money is really just an amplifier, right? Who you are and the life that you live before you make money is pretty much the same life that you're going to live once you start making it, right? Because if you place such a big importance on money and you tie it to your self-worth, you're going to actually stop yourself from, getting a lot of these things like, being happy, having a girlfriend, having great friends, because you're like, at least for me, I always used to think that like, okay, I'm not allowed these things until I make X amount of dollars or whatever. In reality, money just amplifies your situation more. If you think that you're a loser now because you don't make, X amount of dollars online, you're going to be really, really confused when you start to make your first bag and then you realize that you still feel like a loser. You know what I mean? Because money really only amplifies your current situation. And the life that you already live, right? If you place such a big importance on money because you tie it to your self-worth, one, it's going to be way harder to make the money because you're going to be operating out of like a place of scarcity and like a place of like, oh, I need to make this or else, right? So then you put so much importance on it that it's actually harder to get, right? It's like you're never going to get there. But two, you start to think that you can't have certain things in your life until you make money, right? Like, for example, being happy, having a social life, having a girlfriend, being healthy, right? But the reality is that these are all things that you can have before you quote unquote make it, before you reach X milestone or an income goal or whatever, right? These are things that I only believed because the way online business was portrayed online. So I'm having to do a lot of unlearning right now because I'm starting to realize like the amount of money that I make doesn't necessarily have any impact on like other areas of my life necessarily. At least not as much importance as I thought it was going to have in, being happy, in having a girlfriend, or in like having friendships and stuff like that. I'm realizing that really nobody gives a fuck about what you do for work or how much money you have. At least not good friends, right? Because if they're only friends with you because, you have some kind of material thing, like I don't even know if you really want them to be your friend in the first place, right? But my point is that you should allow yourself to be happy where you're at, right? If you're a beginner who's just starting online business, you should really practice gratitude and learning how to be very happy with your life right now, before you kind of start getting into online business, right? Because it's going to be much easier for you to make the money, for one, and two, you'll actually be happy along your path, right? I'm not gonna lie to you, my path here was not the happiest path, okay? If I could have gone back in time, I would have definitely allowed myself to just like be happy throughout the process of getting here, and I probably would have gotten here much faster, right? You don't need to make a certain amount of money before you start allowing yourself to live life, right? Now, once again, I'm not saying you should go out and get fucked up every single weekend, or I'm not saying you should like, do cocaine or something like that, but there's nothing wrong with living a little bit of life and having fun while you're on this journey, right? And in my opinion, it's going to help you get there faster, right? Having something to look forward to on the weekends is underrated as fuck, because like whenever you just work all the time, life starts to get very, very, very mundane almost, right? But yeah, your entire life shouldn't be consumed by business, because when you have a dip in income one month or something bad happens and you tie your income to your worth, you're going to start to feel your worth go down in real time, right? Like a fucking chart, right? Because I'm speaking from experience, right? But it's funny because like I know a ton of people who don't need to make money to feel happy or have good relationships or be healthy. In fact, like the people that I know that are the happiest, that have like great girlfriends or wives or great social circles or whatever, like they honestly don't make that much money at all, right? So why do you or me feel like you have to, achieve some kind of monetary goal before you can have those things? It's probably because we started from a place of insecurity, which one, made it way harder for me to actually make the money, and two, made me also stop myself from like living life and like having a happy life until I made the money, because I had created a narrative that I shouldn't be allowing myself those things until I hit an income goal, really. But that's just a made up rule, you know what I mean? No, that's not like a real rule, you know what I'm saying? I'm not monk moded or anything like that. Yeah, I can still make progress in my business, right? I'm not the healthiest person. I have bad habits, but yeah, I can still make progress in my business. You don't have to be perfect. and you don't have to stop yourself from living life until you get to an income goal, right? So if you're, a beginner in online business, if you want to get an online business, you should start from a place and a mindset of growth and gratitude and already being happy with what you have. It's going to make your progress way faster. You're not going to get as emotional whenever things don't go your way, compared to if you were starting from a place of insecurity and feeling like you need to make it. Otherwise, you're going to live a shitty life. Otherwise, you can't, do XYZ. You can't have XYZ things, right? But yeah, I hope this made sense. I hope at least one of y'all can relate to this. Peace out.